Today is August 23rd, 2015, and it is about 1 a.m. I'm just getting in from a long day of connecting and networking and a couple of other things. But one of the things that came up today in one of my conversations, I was introduced to Periscope. I'm usually on the late bus when it comes to social media just because I would much rather have real life connections with people. But I would need to have an app on my phone for like the just in case I do something really awesome and people want to live stream watch me do it. This pressure for people to have followers and all these things. And what it boils down to, I think, is a very natural thing, which is a desire to be able to create the life that we want. I think that if it were easy to do that in real life, like not social media life, but in real life, if it were easy to create the life that we want, that more people would do it. I have the option to present my life to you in the best light. I get to create my life, at least as far as you know it. But it starts to get tricky when, if the perfect life that you create is not received in the way that you hoped it would be. When you take 79 selfies and then you finally choose one and you put the right filter on it and you do all these things and then it doesn't get enough likes, you start to, on some level, internalize that as a reflection of who you are. And so it becomes an issue because if I am creating this perfect version of myself, putting the best picture of myself and only the most fun moments and the most exciting things, and I'm on vacation perpetually, I'm always on a boat, always on the beach, always sipping mimosas, or whatever this image of myself is that I choose to create and share with you, if I'm always creating that perfect thing and then it doesn't get the response that I want, I'm feeling rejected. So what happens if they see the real me, the me that's not always ready for the good light for the selfie, or that's not on vacation, the me who hates my job or my day in and day out? And I start to think about how seriously people take these social media things, and that is an issue. It's not real. So when I create this image of myself and it gets rejected, it's not because they're rejecting the perfect version of me as much as it is they're understanding that they're not perfect. And so then it becomes, for every time that I try to be this perfect version of myself, and for every time that that perfect version of myself is rejected, it becomes less and less favorable, less and less desirable for me to continue to go this route. So then it comes to this thing of like isolation, alienation, and eventually you just have to be introspective if you choose to do that work. And then ultimately you realize that it's not that they're rejecting you, it's that they're rejecting this version of you that you've created that is not authentic, that can't be related to, that cannot be connected to, because I'm not that. I'm not always on. I'm not always on vacation. I'm not always excited. I'm not always in my perfect light with my good angles for this selfie. I guess what it's boiling down to is we are so incredibly accessible, we are increasingly disconnected. I'm seeking a genuine connection, and then when I get to the actual physical being, they are trying to uphold this image of themselves that they've created through the visual or the virtual version of themselves, that now when I get to that physical meeting, I'm still seeing the virtual self. I can't relate to that. I can't connect to that because that doesn't resonate in my spirit with who I am and who I know myself to be in my deepest, darkest corners of my soul. And so now I'm looping. I'm continually looking for this connection that isn't quite happening. It's like old school dial up. It was like, I'm really trying to connect. I'm really trying to get you on this internet. But it's like not quite getting there. I do think that there's a time and place for certain things and that everything should not be aired out on social media. So I do understand that. But where do we draw the line between creating this life but not then working to recreate it in actuality, so much so that we become unrelatable, and that when people reject this perfect version of ourselves that we've created for them, that we don't internalize that as then a rejection of me and who I am. It's a very slippery slope. It's a very thin line. And I think it's something that we all need to think about because it's so incredibly easy to fall for it, trying to maintain the image of what people expect because of the highlights that they see that you choose to share. Where's that line for you? Where's that line for me? How do we interact with one another? That I'm not expecting you to be something that is really impossible for you to be. And I'm going to check my own timelines and see, am I really just choosing a small slither of who I am to share? How safe is that? How real is that? Follow me on Snapchat and follow me on Periscope and follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Be my friend on Facebook. I don't even know whatever other things may be out there that I'm probably not. I don't even know.